Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we dive into all things Genshin Impact. Whether it's uncovering the myths, breaking down builds, or just having some fun ranking characters. And today, oh boy, do we have a spicy one. We're diving into the top 5 worst characters in Genshin Impact. Now before the pitchforks come out, let me just say, this list is purely based on my opinion, Abyss usage stats, and tier lists. If I end up roasting your favorite character, don't worry, it's all in good fun. So grab your snacks, maybe a cup of tea, and let's get into it. Now let's dive in. Let's kick off this list with the cryo element, which has been pretty underwhelming in the meta lately. And who's taking the crown for the worst cryo character? It's none other than Aloy, yep, our Horizon Zero Dawn crossover queen. I really wanted to like her. I mean, who doesn't love free characters? But Aloy's kit is rough. Let's break it down. First off, Aloy struggles because every cryo character outshines her in every possible role. Want a cryo DPS? Ganyu, Ayaka, and Rosaria are miles ahead. Need a sub-DPS? Kaya and Rosaria have her beat. Want support or utility? Diona brings shields, heals, and cryo application. Meanwhile, Aloy is stuck trying to find her niche, and she just doesn't have one. Her bomb mechanic is clunky. The bomb blitz often miss enemies entirely or fail to trigger properly, meaning you're left with subpar cryo application. And then there's her glaring lack of constellations. Unlike other characters who grow stronger with constellations, Aloy is stuck at C0 forever. This limits her potential drastically. All in all, she feels like a placeholder rather than a fleshed-out character. And it's important to remember that Aloy was created as a promotional character, a collaboration between Genshin Impact and Horizon Zero Dawn. While this made her a fun addition for fans of both games, her kit wasn't designed to compete with other Genshin-exclusive characters, which explains many of her shortcomings. Next up, we've got the Anemo element. Anemo characters are known for their versatility, and most of them are amazing supports. So it's tough to pick a bad one. But if I had to choose, it's Sayu. Don't get me wrong, Sayu isn't bad per se, but compared to the other Anemo units, she falls short. Sayu is a healer with a unique playstyle. Her role ability is super fun. And she can slot into many teams thanks to the Viridescent Veneerer artifact set. But here's the thing, she's never the best option. If you need a healer, Jean or Bennett can do a better job. Need Anemo crowd control? Kazuha, Venti, or Sucrose are miles ahead in utility and damage. Sayu's biggest problem is that she's a jack of all trades but a master of none. Her healing is decent but not outstanding, and her damage is mediocre at best. If you've already invested in better Anemo characters, there's little reason to build Sayu. Moving on to Electro, we've got Dori. A small lady with a big claymore and, well, an even bigger energy issue. Dori's kit is unique because she combines healing with energy generation. In theory, this makes her a versatile support. In practice, though, she's a headache to build and use. Her burst is her main selling point, but it costs a whopping 80 energy, making her extremely energy hungry. To compensate, you need to stack tons of energy recharge on her. But here's the kicker. Focusing on energy recharge sacrifices her healing potential, leaving you with a half-baked support. And even at her best, Dori isn't the most efficient energy generator or healer compared to other Electro supports like Kuki Shinobu, Fischl, or Raiden Shogun. And let's not forget her constellations. To truly unlock her potential, you need to invest heavily in pulling duplicates, which is a tough sell when other 4-stars perform better at C0. Overall, Dori's high energy requirements and lackluster healing make her the weakest Electro character. Now let's talk about Hydro. This element has some of the best characters in the game, like Xingqiu, Kokomi, and Yelan. But then we have Candace. Candace is unique in that she's the only character who can infuse normal attacks with Hydro. Sounds cool, right? Unfortunately, that's where the fun ends. Candace's Hydro infusion has one of the slowest application rates in the game due to her internal cooldown. This makes her clunky in teams that rely on consistent Hydro application, like Vaporize or Freeze comps. And then there's her energy issue. Candace generates very few particles and often needs 250 to 300% energy recharge to use her burst consistently. That's a massive investment for a character who doesn't bring enough utility or damage to justify a team slot. Xing Q, a fellow 4-star Hydro unit, outshines her in every way. Better Hydro application, more damage, and lower energy requirements. Unless you're running a niche Candace-focused team, she's not worth building. Pyro has some of the strongest characters in the game, but unfortunately, Xinyan isn't one of them. Xinyan's biggest issue is her identity crisis. She's a Pyro character focused on physical damage, a combination that doesn't synergize well with the game's elemental reaction system. As a physical DPS, Xinyan is overshadowed by other characters like Eula, Razor, and even physical builds of Keqing. Her shields, while useful, have inconsistent uptime, and her particle generation is lackluster. This makes her burst hard to charge without significant energy recharge investment. To make matters worse, Xinyan's damage output is mediocre, and her utility as a support is inconsistent. In a game where team synergy and elemental reactions reign supreme, Xinyan just doesn't bring enough to the table. Before we wrap up, let's quickly touch on Geo and Dendro. These elements are tricky because they don't really have bad characters. However, if I had to pick, for Geo, it's Ningguang. Now, I love Ningguang, but compared to other Geo units like Zhongli, Albedo, and Ito, she falls short. Her single target focus can be limiting in AoE-heavy content, and her animations, while flashy, can feel clunky to execute in fast-paced combat. That said, Ningguang's Jade Screen has some utility in blocking projectiles and boosting Geo damage, and her burst can deal significant damage when built properly. She's certainly usable, but in the competitive Geo roster, she's arguably the weakest option. For Dendro, it's Kava. Kava is a bloom specialist, and his kit is centered around enhancing and triggering bloom reactions. On paper, this sounds great, especially with the strength of Dendro in the meta. However, his reliance on consistent energy generation and high energy recharge requirements can make him feel inefficient. His elemental skill provides AoE Dendro application and triggers bloom cores, but the cooldown can feel restrictive in some team comps. Additionally, his burst, while visually stunning, locks him into an on-field role, which limits flexibility in teams that rely heavily on off-field damage. Compared to Nahida, who offers unparalleled Dendro application, or Yao Yao, who provides healing and versatility, Kaveh struggles to carve out a distinct niche. That said, he's still a fun character to use if you enjoy bloom-focused teams, but he requires specific setups and investments to truly shine. And that wraps up my list of the top 5 worst characters in Genshin Impact. Remember, this is all just for fun, and even the worst characters can be amazing if you enjoy playing them. What do you think of my picks? Did I roast your main? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe and have an amazing day.